We are live.
Okay, aloha kako, and welcome everyone to the meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Let the record reflect that today is Monday, June 8th, 2026, and the current time right now is 10:01 a.m. Board Secretary, please confirm the attendance to establish quorum.
Trustee Ahuna.
Yo.
Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina.
Ayo.
Mahalo. Trustee Akina. Trustee Alakwa. Trustee Galuteria. Trustee Lindsay.
Present.
Trustee Souza.
Yo.
Trustee Waihe'e.
Present.
And Chair Kahele.
Present.
You have 9 trustees present. You have quorum.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you guys so much, trustees, for attending today on this unplanned meeting of the Board of Trustees. For our general public, this meeting can be viewed via live stream on OHA's website at www.oha.org/livestream and also on Olelo TV. At this time, the chair would like to now call Keishawn Kikina, our Chief Operations Officer, to the table to recognize key staff that are here in attendance.
Aloha kakayaka kako, mahalo nui e trustees no kia halavai. This morning we have with us from our legal team, our General Counsel Everett Ota, our Director of Communications Bill Brennan, our Budget Chief Grace Chen. We also have with us from our communications team, Nelson Gaspar monitoring this meeting, and our IT Systems Engineer and Administrator, Kevin Chalk. Mahalo.
Thank you so much, Keishawn. And in attendance, representing the Board of Trustees, we have our Board Secretary, Lehua Itokazu. We have our Interim Chief of Staff, Alina Ayung. And we have Kapono Kiakona, representing the Board Council, as well as numerous trustee aides and secretaries and staff that have joined us and prepared us for today. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Trustees, our one and only item on the agenda is item 2A. This is approval to amend a prior action item. This would be Board of Trustee 2606. I'll read the amendment into the record before asking if we have any questions. So this new business for today is the approval to amend prior action item Board of Trustee 2606. It's specifically as it relates to the sponsorship of a statewide primetime broadcast primary debate on or about July 20th, 2026. Due to scheduling conflicts among the candidates and changes in the dynamics of the race since the Board of Trustees took action, the proposed debate would shift from the Hawaii's 1st Congressional District race to the statewide Hawaii Lieutenant Governor's race. The amendment would also authorize up to 6 live broadcast OHA Board of Trustees candidate forums for the Oahu, Maui, and at-large trustee races. Lehua, do we have any discussion on this new business item A? I'm sorry, any public testimony on this item? Yes, sorry about that.
No one is signed up to speak on this item.
Okay, then the chair would like to make a motion to approve to amend prior action item Board of Trustee 2606 as previously just read into the record. We'll now open it up for discussion. And before taking trustee questions or discussions, let me just explain why this is before us today and why I called and convened the meeting of the Board of Trustees. So trustees, as you will recall, about a week and a half ago, we had a long discussion and an action item to approve up to $250,000 for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs to fund and take a very proactive role in the 2026 primary and general election. Part of those goals would be to highlight important races, not OHA races that were happening. And one of the races that was identified was the 1st Congressional District race. That is a competitive race and has very important federal nexus to Native Hawaiian issues. And the opportunity to have a broadcast primetime live debate between the candidates or the leading candidates for that race would give an opportunity for OHA to ask questions and properly vet candidates that desire to either continue serving or would like to serve in the United States Congress representing Hawaii's 1st Congressional District. It would also give OHA the opportunity to educate the broader community, both Native Hawaiian and non-Native Hawaiian, on important issues as it relates to the Native Hawaiian community. And it would also have an opportunity for us to elevate our get out the vote efforts in our Native Hawaiian community and the broader electorate in typically what is being characterized as a potentially down year in voter turnout because it's a non-presidential year. Some of the more high-profile races are not competitive races, and so this would give OHA an opportunity and a flagship opportunity to present that to the community and to have a significant return on our investment because of the investment that we would be investing. In addition to that, we spoke about having OHA candidate forums to give the general public, who everyone can vote for OHA, as we all well know, the opportunity to learn about candidates, the opportunity to hear from the current incumbents, and to give those that are aspiring to be OHA trustees for the Oahu, Maui, or at-large races the opportunity to make their best case to our community on their knowledge and subject matter expertise on Native Hawaiian issues, what they've done as current OHA trustees in their tenure at OHA, and also look at an opportunity to drive our get out the vote efforts for the OHA candidate races, which historically have a high blank vote turnout. While the board was having that discussion that day, one of the candidates for the congressional district race switched and decided to run for the lieutenant governor's race, literally while we were having the conversation. In addition to that, the filing period had not been closed yet for the races. We took action on Thursday, and I believe it was on Tuesday is when the deadline closed. And so there has been significant changes since the board took action as it relates to these races. After we took action, the board chair's office sent out communications to the candidates for the Congressional District 1 race. And I had an opportunity to have a one-on-one phone call with Congressman Case. Senator Keohokalole was able to commit to the race, to having the debate on or about July 20th. But as we had discussed in session when we met, the Congress is very busy in the month of July as they approach the end of the work that the Congress attempts to complete before July 31st, before the start of the August recess. And when speaking to Congressman Case to get his commitment to participate, it would have been very difficult for him to commit to a date during that time because of the really dynamic schedule of Congress. Congressman Case is a member of the Appropriations Committee. He's a senior member of the Appropriations Committee, and he sits on some very important subcommittees on appropriations that would require his presence. And so there was really no way for him to commit to that time frame, knowing the uncertainty of Congress and his schedule. And because there's a lot of moving parts with putting on a debate of this caliber with Hawaii News Now, we had to lock in candidates that were able to participate. And we were just not going to be able to get Congressman Case's full commitment because of his duties as our sitting member of Congress and a senior appropriator and the work that he would have to do. In addition to that, Representative Bellotti, while we were having our meeting that day, announced that she's going to run for the lieutenant governor's race, which is now a race between several candidates, but two of the top candidates are Mayor Kawakami from Kauai and Representative Bellotti, who has now decided to run for lieutenant governor. And so the conversation post the one I had with Congressman Case was, okay, what do we do now? The lieutenant governor's race is a competitive race now, and though not a federal debate to focus on federal issues, and as the Native Hawaiian community faces, multiple attacks on federal Native Hawaiian programs, and just recently the Department of Hawaiian Homeland is now being sued. and being challenged the constitutionality of the Hawaiian Homes Commission Act and blood quantum requirements for Native Hawaiian housing versus non-Native Hawaiians that either do not have Native Hawaiian blood or have less than the 50% blood quantum. So there's a lot of things happening at a federal level, which is why the Congressional District 1 debate would have been really important for OHA. But at the same time, I also believe the lieutenant governor's race is a very important race. Many of these issues at the state level are really important for us. Who will serve as the next lieutenant governor will work with the current administration for the next 4 years, will likely be a candidate for governor in 4 years from now. And the opportunity for OHA, because many of these issues are at the state level, to have a robust primetime statewide live debate between the candidates for lieutenant governor would be a significant, I believe, return on investment for OHA. In addition to that, as you well know, the majority of our state votes absentee, and really having a debate after absentee ballots arrive in voter mailboxes diminishes the return on investment for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, because people will start voting and people will already have made up their mind. And so having a debate of this caliber before absentee mail ballots arrive, which is why we chose on or about the 20th of July, would give voters an opportunity to tune in and to have OHA be prime time, front and center, and properly vet the issues that are really important for OHA and the Native Hawaiian community. And so the request is, I did not feel, because we had such a nuanced, narrow discussion on the Congressional District 1 debate, that I could unilaterally make a decision to pivot to the lieutenant governor's race. And in consultation with the BAE chair, Chair Galutera, he also agreed as well, which is why we're here today. The funding for the debates has already been approved by the board. It has been programmed and uploaded into an account that is now created in the Financial Services Division, and Grace can speak to that if you have any questions. So that is not what we are voting on today. What we are voting on today is the affirmation of the decision to move from the Congressional District 1 debate to the lieutenant governor's race. I also think we get not just a solid return on our investment, we get the opportunity to educate the broader community on critical Native Hawaiian issues at a very, very important time in our community. We also get a chance to push our get out the vote efforts. And so I think there's a lot of very positives to having this. And so the request is to move to the lieutenant governor's race. With the OHA candidate forums, I appreciate the trustees who voiced their maybe hesitation or concerns about not having any forums in the primary election and focusing more on the general. And so that is why this action item is written that way. Also, when the action item was written, OHA races weren't set yet. They are now set. And there are only 2 candidates that have filed for the Oahu seat and the Maui seat. And so as a result, our OHA Maui and Oahu races will not be on the primary ballot. They will be on the general election ballot, and both of those candidates, 2 of them are our fellow trustees and incumbents, will move to the general election. And so where does that leave the at-large race? Well, the at-large race is 15 filed candidates. And what I would like to propose, and it is why the action item is written to have 6 forums, is what I would like to propose is to have 3 OHA candidate forums in the middle of July, likely the week just prior to the July 20th OHA flagship debate. We would invite all 15 candidates to participate. Now, it would be on them to affirm their participation and communicate back to our staff. But the concept would be to have 3 at-large forums. We have 3 of our trustees that are running, have decided to run for re-election for the 3 at-large seats. Each trustee would be on each one of those forums. There would be a total of 5 candidates. We're looking at different partners. This would be a forum style. So similar to maybe the PBS Insights or things that have been done by the past by several of our trustees here. But that would give us a chance to highlight our at-large seats. The 15 candidates that have decided to run for those seats, each forum having 5 candidates, each incumbent being on each one of those forums. and have the opportunity to have questions asked of the different candidates on those forums and get a chance for them to express their opinions and perspectives and positions on these issues concerning the Native Hawaiian community and OHA, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Gives us an opportunity for our incumbents to highlight the things that they have championed while they have served as trustees, whether it's been for over 20 years or just over the last 4 years. And it'll also give those that want to run for an at-large seat the opportunity to demonstrate their institutional knowledge of OHA, their capacity to understand OHA's core mission, and make their best pitch to the Native Hawaiian and non-Native Hawaiian community of why they should be considered to serve as an at-large trustee. Moving to the general election, what I would like to propose to do is to have 3 candidate forums, one for the Oahu seat, one for the Maui seat, and one for the at-large race that will feature 6 candidates. Now, there is a possibility that of the 15 candidates on primary election night, one of those candidates, if they receive a majority of the vote, could emerge as securing an OHA at-large seat on primary night. It is not impossible to do. Unlikely, but not impossible. At that point, other candidates that were in the top tier of that race would then move to the at-large race in the general election. And then 2 candidates would emerge out of the general to join with the one trustee or the one candidate that secured their race in the primary to be the next 3 OHA trustees that will be sworn in December. The other scenario is that none of the 15 candidates get a majority of the vote, and the top 6 move to the general, and that is where we will have an at-large forum in the general election, likely in October, again, before absentee mail ballots drop. We will also have an Oahu forum and a Maui forum, and have 3 candidate forums in the fall that feature the 3 OHA races for the general election. So that's the background. That's a context of why we're here, is the opportunity to gain feedback and hopefully affirm the action item that's sitting on the board table now. So the request is to move to the Lieutenant Governor's race. Hawaii News Now and Pilina First are lock loaded and ready to go, but time is of the essence because we're under about 50 days or so before this forum would happen on July 20th. I have personally spoke to both, at least for now, Mayor Kawakami and Rep. Belatti, and have in concept and verbally confirmed their participation. There are also other candidates that are running for the Lieutenant Governor's race, so we should take a look at those candidates as well. That's what is in front of us today. So I'm going to stop now and open it up for any questions or discussion. And I'm happy to take one. And I see Trustee Akina's hand is raised. So Trustee Akina, thank you for joining us, and you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to commend you and share that I also believe in civic engagement. And so I think that getting the vote out, whether it be the Native Hawaiian community or the residents at large in the islands, is a good thing to do. I'm thinking, however, that the kind of debates we're talking about would be better left to someone other than OHA for a couple of reasons. The first concern I have has to do with the fact that we are nonpartisan and need to continue to have that brand about us. We need to make sure that's the case. In the first proposal that we looked at for a CD1 race, we were going to have only one party represented because it's a primary. And if that is going to be the case with the lieutenant governor race, I think that that would not be something that is truly nonpartisan. But I do have a deeper concern that goes to the trustee races. I think that there's a conflict of interest here. We here at this table, live and virtual, are a group of people amongst whom are 5 candidates, incumbents who are running for re-election. There's a conflict of interest, a potential advantage to being the group that funds organizes, and whether we like it or not, gives policy or administrative leadership to a group organizing these debates. I'm not sure what level of ethics or legal scrutiny this has gone through, but I think it would hurt us to have such a conflict of interest. It would be kind of like the governor's office sponsoring a governor's candidate debate. And I think there would be greater integrity to the debates if a party other than OHA were actually the lead sponsor. Thank you. And I'm mentioning my comments early now with apologies that my internet may not be stable and I may need to leave early. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Aquina, and I appreciate those comments, and they are consistent with your previous concerns that you brought before the board a week and a half ago when we passed this agenda item. So I do thank you for that. Trustee Wahe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I feel like if it's possible, I would still rather I would rather stick with the congressional debate, even if it's after the millions come in, and I'll try to explain why. Like when OHA first started, the first time we ever did one of these debates, it was a governor's debate. It wasn't just to educate people or introduce them to the candidates. There was a high level of advocacy involved in it. So let me try to just give you the example to explain it. At the time, Act 304 had been repealed, and the speaker at the time decided not to pay us any ceded land revenues at all. So now, like, you know, these days when we complain about later speakers not giving us ceded, residential entitlements on Kakako well, at one time, they literally gave us $0 in ceded land revenues because they could. So we had the governor's debate to have the governors commit that they're going to do something to start paying us again. And as a result, they both committed strongly to it. And at the time, Governor Lingo, she did a really good job in that debate. And she ends up winning the election. In interviews later, she attributes that debate to the day that she felt like she was getting her footing in the race and things were progressing. And immediately, though, she, through executive order, gets us ceded land revenues for that year and the year before that we weren't paid. Now, it's possible she would have done that anyway, although I don't think it's guaranteed because there's no guarantee it would have been first and foremost on her mind had she not gone through that. So I think it can be an effective advocacy tool if we do it correctly. And with the congressional race, like you said, there's like $104 million set to be cut to Native Hawaiian programs in the current federal budget that's being proposed, as well as the Hawaiian Home Act challenges. And the only people that can kind of stop these things from happening or stand up to it is the Congress. If you have the right Congress there, there's a lot that can be done. And I think it's more vital. And if it's a close race, even if it occurs after the mail-in start, it could still make a difference. And we could also, it's also a good way to bring all these concerns to light of what's happening in Washington and what we want to have done there. So that's my opinion about that. And I have some also similar concerns that Trustee Aquina had about possible conflicts of interest with the OHA elections. So at the very least, we should get some kind of opinion before we proceed with that. Again, thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Wahe. I don't disagree versus the congressional district race, and I would still be open to that. But at some point, we have to make a decision if we can't get the commitment on whether we are going to pivot or not going to do anything at all. And the nature of this debate and the complexity of working together and the commitments that need to be made with Hawaii News Now, which is independent from OHA. They were contracted to do this. So, I get the assertion that there would be undue influence by the Office of Hawaiian Affairs on a debate of this type. The contractual agreement is with Hawaii News Now, the third party producer. The questions will be questions that are important to the Native Hawaiian community that I'm sure all of us are well versed in and well aware of. And so I don't think there'll be a conflict of interest or a bias with OHA hosting this. Looking at the congressional calendar in front of you, the issue is time. If you look at the calendar, the proposed debate was going to be on the 20th of July or on or about. The Hawaiian Convention starts around the 21st, which Hawaii News Now is a big part of. And they are also hosting Keiki Hula at the end of that week, which Hawaii News Now is broadcasting live. So that, if you miss this week, then you're into the next week. Absentee ballots are scheduled to be delivered on or about Friday the 24th or Saturday the 25th. So people will begin voting as early as the weekend of the 25th. And a high percentage of the state, even though we struggle with low voter turnout, still votes absentee mail. So if you're going to have a debate the week of the 27th through the 31st, that's still July for Congress. And that is arguably the busiest time for Congress, when schedules are going, full tilt, and Congressman Case will be very busy as Congress races to finish its work by Friday the 31st. So if you can't get a committal there, you now jump to the month of August. And in this particular year, the primary election is not on August 15th. Primary elections are always held on Saturday in August, first 2 weeks in August. It's not the 15th, it is the 8th. And Bill, as the comms director, will be able to come up there and tell you that most candidates do not do a debate the week of the election because there's not enough time to course correct statements that are made or positions that are taken. And so there's typically a blackout period as you lead up to election night, which is going to be on August 8th, and the fact that people are already voting. So because this is a significant investment for OHA, that return on investment is diminished beyond the 20th as you push closer to the Saturday, August 8th primary day. But I do agree that the federal issues are important. I also do believe they're as important as the state issues. And whether we're playing the short game or we're playing the long game, right? This is 4 years from now goes by really quickly. And this is an opportunity for us to highlight issues and an opportunity to be able to get answers on critical issues and positions for OHA from the candidates that would like to be lieutenant governor. That arguably whoever wins will be presumably a front runner 4 years from now for governor. And so if we're playing the long game, like, this is an investment in OHA's shared future. And I'll stop there and I'll recognize Trustee Lindsay.
Thank you, Chair. I have similar questions as Trustee Akina. I ask whether administration seeked out an opinion from the Ethics Commission on whether we can fund a panel discussion or a debate with OHA money when 5 of us are running for re-election. So did anybody check on that, please?
What I will say is I can't answer that question. I mean, Everett could come out and answer that question. But what I can say is that OHA has funded opportunities in the past. PBS Insights has hosted OHA forums at their expense, and oftentimes that is free. Olelo TV, that we currently have our contract with and is live broadcasting our meetings, have given us the opportunity to have OHA candidate forums. If we choose to do that, that comes at a cost. And so there would be a nominal cost for doing that. So whether it's on Olelo or whether it's on some other forum, or there's opportunity to partner with PBS Insights, if there's any costs incurred, then this budgetary line item would be able to support that. And happy to have General Counsel opine on Trustee Lindsay's question, which I think is a valid question.
Thank you.
Good morning, trustees. To Trustee Lindsay's question, no, we did not seek an opinion from the elections officer ethics regarding the proposed action that was previously considered by the board and is again before the board today. We have, as Trustee Kahele noted, hosted other candidate forums, both within our available resources, like such as Kawaii Ola, and I do have information regarding a 2020 debate that we were involved with that involved candidate questions, but I don't have the details of that. So we have been, OHA has been part of efforts to further educate voters regarding the OHA elections. We have taken steps to not provide a undue advantage to OHA trustees that are also candidates in that election, such as allowing them any type of access or involvement in the drafting of those questions. But if there are questions or an opinion that we would be seeking, we can do that if that's the opinion of or that's the direction of the board.
Thanks, Everett. And just to be clear, the OHA candidate forums could be done several different ways. You could do a pre-recorded forum, right? Because dates matter for people, and it's also the summer. It could be rebroadcast. You could use different platforms. And so whether it was a live event or it was pre-recorded, again, it's an opportunity to educate the community on the OHA candidates. And I'm also happy to invite Bill Brennan up. I think it's important for him to come up as our comms director because we kind of do the same thing anyway, right? Don't we use Kawaii Ola? I mean, we pay for Kawaii Ola, but we feature all the candidates. We give them an opportunity to do candidate questionnaires or answer questions. And there's no bias there, right? I mean, incumbents can choose or not to choose to participate. Candidates who are not incumbents can choose to or not participate. And so I don't see the conflict of interest, but happy to have Bill or someone else opine on that because I do think we're already doing this. We're just doing this in a way to touch as many voters as possible, to touch the community as possible. And while we're doing that, we're also educating them on really important issues that are important to Hawaii and Native Hawaiian communities. So maybe Bill, if you could provide a little bit of your thoughts as the comms director to Trustee Lindsay's question.
Mahalo, Chair. Yes, I think the points you made here at the end kind of go to that. You know, I don't know if they've been sent out yet, but we finalized the questionnaire we're going to be sending to all candidates who are running for OHA trustees. Our beneficiaries get that every election cycle. We publish in Kawaii Ola the answers to questionnaires. To questionnaires that contain maybe 3 or 4 open-ended questions and half a dozen or more yes/no questions because we're trying to fit everything into a certain space. The print is confined by space and column inches. TV is more a time factor, but it's really, I agree with Chair on this, that having forums is really just a different platform to do the same sort of thing. And we fund the publication and the distribution of Kawai Ola. And that's agreed to by the board during budget time. So I don't see that as really any different than doing the same sort of thing on a broadcast or cablecast sort of platform, just to make more information available to our voters. I think our beneficiaries expect us to provide them information about who's running for OHA trustees, more so than the traditional media folks. That's incumbent upon the communications department. And so, as I say, we use KWO, and we can and probably should use some television toward that end as well.
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for that. I'll go recognize Trustee Galatier in a second. I guess to further add to Bill's comments, I believe trustees have a duty to use our beneficiary trust resources to advance civic education and engagement. Just like what Trustee Aquina said, a matter of fact, I believe it's either in today's paper or yesterday's paper, an article about civic education and engagement. It's why we're doing OHA Appeal, right? To bring civic education back to our students. I also think that duty is to not just advance civic education engagement, but to also ensure that there's transparency, that there's fair competition among candidates, both OHA and non-OHA. And I think doing so is also in the best interest of our beneficiaries, because a number of candidates, especially from neighbor islands or from smaller, like Molokai, geographically isolated communities, are less likely to have the resources and access to those beneficiaries to share their platforms at a statewide level, which are statewide concerns. And so not everyone gets Kawai Ola, not everyone knows who these candidates are, especially if you're from the neighbor islands and even more so in a rural community. So this is an opportunity for OHA to do that, I think, in a very meaningful way. Okay, Trustee Galataria?
I think Trustee Lindsay might have had a follow-up. No?
Sure, if she has a follow-up, I'm happy to recognize her. I can't see her hand up, but I also don't see everyone either.
Chair, I just want to say that in the past, we've had experiences with the Ethics Commission on a much smaller basis. But in this case, the conflict of interest lies in the five of us and not with the newcomers, in that we'll have an advantage over the newcomers because people have already seen us over the years. And in the ethics, which we've been tasked to take once a year, it says very clearly that it's under the unfair treatment portion of the Ethics Commission. And I don't really care to argue it. I'm very happy to go to the Ethics Commission and ask them if they would opine.
Sure. One option is not have the OHA candidate forums, right? There's no conflict of interest with the lieutenant governor's race.
Yep.
From my perch, I would say blocking this would be a worse optic than supporting it. Because incumbent trustees can decline to participate. If you don't want to participate, then don't participate. Trustee Galatario, followed by Trustee Souza.
Okay, thank you, Chair. This is for Bill, specific to the LG race, right? Is there any provisions in this proposed contract that requires us or encourages us to give questions? I would think that might be unethical. But if we're buying the time, what does it get us? I was specific to the questioning of the candidates, but you wanna respond to that?
Well, yeah, go ahead, Bill, and then I can add in. Go ahead, Bill.
Right, okay. I think we want to ask the questions. It's an OHA-sponsored debate. If we leave the questions to others, questions that we would like to have candidates answer may not be asked. So I think it's important in either the CD1 race or the LG's race for the questions to reflect those positions, those issues that OHA would like to see answered by the candidates. So yes, I mean, we are buying the time. We would produce the show. We would select the moderator or the reporters who would ask the questions, and we would work with a team pretty much to come up with the questions to be asked is the way I see it.
Yeah, well, Calamine, it was kind of a loaded question because I knew the answer to that anyway.
Okay.
But moving forward on that, how much dedication to a Get Out the Vote campaign will be inserted into the 250,000? And how's that going to be? Because we have an opportunity now to get the vote out, the Native Hawaiian vote, as best as we possibly can.
Yes.
So how much of that buy is going to be dedicated to Get Out the Vote?
I'm not sure what the breakdown of that percentage is. Sure.
So just for context, the approved amount for the statewide live broadcast debate is about $185,000. Of that, though, there will be a very robust advertising campaign that will sell commercials of 15 to 30 seconds in blocks throughout the course of the 1 hour broadcast. And it's estimated that about $60,000 in commercial advertising can be sold because of the pre-production, the anticipation, the build-up for this debate, likely the only one that's being hosted at this level. And so there's a lot of people going to be tuning in. So those advertisements will be able to generate revenue that will offset the $185,000 cost. So what is estimated at real hard money out of the trust is about $120,000 that will be spent on this debate. The pre-production and all the buildup for this debate will be rocking on every platform that Hawaii News Now has. As leading up to about 2 weeks prior, or even heavy 1 week prior, both in person, digitally, online, getting on High Now, and that also doesn't prohibit us from purchasing some time on other mediums, whether it's Island Life or other opportunities to pitch and to share this debate that's going to be happening. So, to Trustee Galatero's question, there is a very strategic way that Hawaii News Now, who is one of the top experts in the business on how to do this, to really drive and pique interest, not to mention all the interest that will be second, third order of effects from the Star Advertiser, from Civil Beat, from political commentators out there that will be watching this race, right? I think there's no better way to get out the vote campaign than sponsoring the only statewide televised debate of these races. And I think of this race. And so there's a lot that's going to go into the buildup of it, and also the post debate, after debate commentary that will happen as well.
I think that's what my encouragement would be to the walk up, because 1 hour goes pretty quick. So our exposure will start 2 weeks out, as Chair was mentioning, perhaps, and then a week after, right up to a primary, right? Okay, so a very robust Get Out the Vote would be welcome.
And I also think, the sooner we come to a decision on this, hopefully today, we can already start pre-preparing, right? Our Get Out the Vote initiative, our investments get diminished the longer we wait to support and publicize this debate or the forums that we're going to do, right? We can already start doing that. As soon as OHA gets in-person or written commitments from the candidates, we can start publicizing it already. And we can start our Get Out the Vote efforts there.
Okay.
Thank you, Trustee Galatero. Okay, Vice Chair Souza?
Mahalo, Mr. Chair. My support was kind of along the same lines or questions. I support the Get Out the Vote campaign for sure. However we go about doing that. As far as the OHA candidate forums, as candidates, right, we're also trustees all the way to November 3rd, all 5 of us. And so we definitely have a job to do. I don't like seeing blank votes in the OHA race. So however we go about educating our people, we're the vehicle, we're the monetary funnel liaison, representation between us, the state, and the federal, our people, right? And we represent them. We want to represent them to its fullest. It's also an opportunity for us to, yes, for the candidates to shine light on what we've done, good things we've done, and then maybe an opportunity for other candidates to show some new ideas. I also have reservations, only because, yes, I don't want to get, as a candidate myself and as a trustee, I don't want to get into any ethics violations, and I believe we should get an opinion from the Ethics Commission, like Trustee Lindsay had said. Maybe approve based on that if we do get the votes, or we just bifurcate and vote that way, or amend the actual motion itself. That's my 2 cents. Mahalo.
Thanks, Vice Chair. Trustee Huna?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just had a few questions. When we talk about ethics, are we allowing trustees to write columns all the way up to campaign? Or no, we stopped that. Okay, that's good. Are we allowing all the candidates to, like, they're gonna have shared space in like Kawaiola during these times, or like questions or anything like that? We're not gonna do that.
Chair, to answer to speak to maybe Trustee Ahuna's questions, our executive policy manual provides for certain restrictions on OHA trustees contributing to Kawaiola. I think, as Trustee Lindsay is also recognizing at the table, candidates who are running opposed campaigns are prohibited from submitting their normal Kawaiola columns for publication during the elections period, unless, and until somebody is elected to a position. For instance, if somebody were to receive the necessary votes in the primaries to actually obtain the seat, they wouldn't be a candidate at that point. But to the extent that trustees want to, they're able to, along with others, other candidates, to buy advertising space in Kawaiola, but they're not given any kind of advantage in the Kawaiola publications.
Okay, thank you. I was just wondering how, are we
Thanks,
violating?
Trustee Huna. So I guess from, like just talking out loud here, like, there's a couple of things in play, right? You could, and I appreciate all the commentary. Like, my job as the chair is to bring opportunities to this board, and I brought everything in the kitchen sink to the board. And it's up to a majority of us to decide how to move forward. And I do appreciate all the thoughts and the comments. You could, to Trustee Souza's point, bifurcate, take out all the OHA forums, pending a ethics commission opinion. And then if green lighted, you could come back, re-agendize this, and have it. Would we be able to have a at-large forum in that time frame in July, pre-recorded or not? Not sure, right? We're about 5-6 weeks away, but that's one option. Second option is you could proceed forward with the OHA at-large forums, pending an ethics commission decision, or have the trustees that are candidates for those races not participate, right? I mean, true civic engagement is giving these candidates that are running for OHA trustees the opportunity to get out there and to, make their best case of why they want to be a trustee or not, or what their level and depth of knowledge of Native Hawaiian issues are. So that could be another one, right? That's kind of where I'm thinking. You may have to eliminate the at-large debates if the latter was not where the board wanted to go. Get an ethics commission opinion, and then, if allowed, then have those debates in the fall as an opportunity to give OHA, both the OHA Maui, Oahu Maui seat and the at-large seat, an opportunity to have a forum in the fall. Or you could just not have any OHA forums at all. That's how I kind of see it. I'm happy for other ideas. Trustee Lindsay?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that if the Ethics Commission finds that the 5 incumbents would be violating the ethics laws, then I don't think we should have any OHA forum, because that wouldn't be fair to the 5 as well.
Okay, and if the Ethics Commission says it's okay, are you willing to participate in a forum and support
Oh,
it?
yes, I would be willing to participate if it's okay. In my mind, it's not okay right now. So I would need for them to opine.
Okay, well, what I think in the interest of, well, I don't know, I'd actually lean on Everett and for his response, whether or not the action item as written should move forward, but likely have an amendment in there that is conditional upon Ethics Commission approval, versus waiting for that approval and having then to come back to the board to do this again. Only because if we do want to capitalize and capture the 15 candidates for the at-large race in July, if the Ethics Commission says go, then we need to move expeditiously to make that happen. And I want to make that happen for the candidates and for the trustees that are running. And so I would be interested to know what Everett thinks.
Thank you, Chair. If I might ask if there's any specific concerns that maybe Trustee Lindsay can share regarding kind of the nature of the Ethics Commission question, I guess, that we're seeking to be posing, just so I can make sure to properly frame it or ask those specific concerns. As I mentioned, I think the issues regarding fair treatment are, potential considerations, but I don't see them here where the candidates, both on the current trustees as well as the potential challengers, are not being provided with the questions ahead of time, so they would both have access at the same time.
That's not it, Everett.
Excuse me, please.
My concern is we're approving monies to be spent on ourselves. That's my concern, and that's a conflict of interest. Now, nobody else in the campaign, the people that are not incumbents, have to worry about that, but the 5 of us do. So I would not participate in a forum if this is not cleared through the Ethics Commission, and I would be more than happy to participate if it is.
So maybe to address Trustee Lindsay's concern, that I would venture to say other trustees would have maybe those concerns as well, is to have a conditional upon approval and guidance for conducting the OHA debate specifically. And I think staff is working on some type of agreement as well. So but I don't want to take a position, Trustee Lindsay, on how I feel about how you feel about it. I do like to err on the conservative side sometimes, and if that's one of your concerns, I think can be quickly resolved through general counsel and board counsel. But I will also remind us that trustees approve monies to be spent on ourselves all the time in Kauai Ola's publication and in its printing, and I don't see the difference between the two. But
there is a difference, Chair. The money we spent from our budget is to do our work to help our people. This particular expenditure of money, if we're successful, we get a paycheck every month. That's the difference.
So do you think you should participate or not participate in the Kauai Ola candidate opportunities that are going to be provided by Kauai Ola in July?
I believe that the Kauai Ola articles that we write every month is reporting to our people. And if all the candidates are treated the same way, we're not approving money for it. It's an automatic thing in the Kauai Ola to ask these questions of the candidates.
But based on that logic, you should not participate in the Kawai Ola questionnaire because you are a trustee that could benefit from that through a successful election. You should recuse yourself from participating in a candidate questionnaire for both candidates and incumbents that Kawai Ola is going to do in July and has done in every general and primary election race
which
for
I
the
have
last few years.
participated in the past. And to me, I'm not trying to seek votes. I'm trying to educate like everybody else. The questions are put to us and we're answering it. So they may be questions that our people might need to know about the individual candidates.
I'm sorry, I disagree. I think it's the same thing. And I think the special issue that we create for the election season is the same thing. This is a different vehicle, but it's the same thing. Does another trustee have their hand up? Vice Chair Souza.
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'm going to strongly disagree with the previous statement about the Kawai Ola because the board also approves the budget for Kawai Ola, right? And so we cannot say by participating, if we're going to use the same logic, then the answer to your question, Mr. Chair, should be yes, we shouldn't participate because we're technically paying for that article, right, to run that questionnaire. The board approves the budget overall. So to Trustee Lindsay's point, I guess she should answer with, I shouldn't participate if I don't get an opinion from the Ethics Commission, which trustees have been participating for years in that questionnaire. And so at the end of the day, however, I'm also going to agree with Trustee Lindsay and the potential amendment to the motion. I'll support it all day long. And if that's what the trustee in this board feels, it's the will of the board to go get a opinion from the Ethics Commission, I support that amendment as well. The worst thing we want, even though we look at it as an opportunity to shine light on ourselves and the good that we've done and opportunities for new candidates to show what they potentially can do, it also may hurt us at the same time if somebody tries to, push that ethics violation on us. And that's the last thing we need during campaign season. So I agree that we should amend the motion.
Yeah, and I am in agreement with that, and I believe Everett and Kapono and the team can engage with the Ethics Commission and get that answer. I think what is important though, and is why Everett asked the question, is how Trustee Lindsay's concerns are framed and how they take that framing to the Ethics Commission. And so maybe there's a sidebar that can happen after this vote if the proposed, what will likely be an amended motion passes, because that's really important to ask the right question to get the answer that you're seeking to have. And so I know Everett will work on that. Anyone else's hands raised?
No one else.
I want to go back to Trustee Waihe's comment, because Trustee Galater and I consulted with him immediately after I had my conversation with Congressman Case, because I wanted to understand what his thought was as the VAE chair, which, the advocacy team, has played a major role in this, as well as our S&I team that's working on civic education. And so whether or not the first congressional district race would have the same effect if we pivoted to the lieutenant governor's race. But I do think that the lieutenant governor's race is right up the street. It's closer to our home politics, right? All politics is local. I mean, we all know that. And the closer to the protection, the lieutenant governor's race is closer to the protection of our Native Hawaiian rights, both in our state's constitution, in statutes, than the adversarial treatment that we're receiving right now at the federal level. The lieutenant governor will be in the ear of the governor on these issues. You know what? Things change overnight in politics, and this candidate could be the governor in 2 years from now. If the political landscape changes at the federal level in the executive branch, So it could happen in 2 years, it could happen in 4 years if the national landscape changes in 2028, and it happens all the time. So when looking at the lieutenant governor's race, right, this opportunity, this investment allows us to determine what Native Hawaiian rights, what is their fluency of the second person in command of the state of Hawaii, what is their view on the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, whether it's an expansive view or it's a complementary one or it's a competing one. What is their view? How will they advance our position and the state's position on military land leases, on public land trust revenues, on Kaka'ako Makai? I just think that at the end of the day, all politics is local, and local politics, especially for Native Hawaiians, is where our most critical protections matter. And that's why this race is important. Mainstream media sources, whether it's written or online, have identified this race as a high-profile race. And it is a high-profile race now that you have 2 high-profile candidates and several other candidates running for this office. And I don't know if Trustee Wahe, if that adds a little bit to your concern, but that's how I feel about this. I wasn't sure when I first realized that we may not be able to have a congressional debate. And in consultation with Trustee Galataire, I think we kind of both felt the same way. But then as we talked through it and got different opinions, it made me believe more that this was a good investment for OHA, and it's something that would be, I think, reflected very, very positively in the broader community, in the political community of OHA stepping up, being front and center. They are taking a proactive role in civic engagement and in our elections. And I see Trustee Wahe's hand up. So Trustee Wahe, you are recognized.
Thanks, Kai. Sorry. Well, I don't want to get off on a whole nother tangent, but I didn't vote for the original motion because and it's not because these opportunities don't have merit to them. It's more like I'm having more stress over that are based on the budget and prioritizing those things. But the one part of this that I was excited about possibly was the congressional delegation, the congressional district race. I don't know, everything you said about the lieutenant governor's true, but they don't really wield the same impact that the Congress is going to. Like maybe if it was a governor's race, that might. And normally, if I felt like if we had money to spare, it would be okay. I just I'm just more stressed about it than I normally would be.
Trustee Wahe, I knew someone once that was a con delegate, then became a representative in the state house, then became lieutenant governor, and in 4 years was governor of this state and made a major impact on the future of Hawaii. And that's why I think this race is so important. Trustee Galataire?
Who was that?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I think my comment has to do with the fact that had Della not jumped, this race wouldn't be worth it, the LG race. Now that she's in, and it's evident that we can't get case on the days that we want them. Yeah, I'll be voting in favor of switching it over to the lieutenant governor's race. And then secondly, pending the guidance of the Hawaii Ethics Commission with regard to our races, yeah, I'm willing to abide by that conversation too. But at this particular point, we don't have case for the times that we've been given or we're taking from KGMB, right? We don't have case. So that's out. So I would say this is the race to do, the lieutenant governors at this particular point. So I'll be voting in favor of this motion. Okay, thank you, Chair.
And to Trustee Galaterra's point, we now have a very high profile, well experienced, served in the State House for almost 20 years, a female candidate running for lieutenant governor. It's the only statewide debate forum. I don't think we can ignore that. In a slate, if you look at the lieutenant governor's race, it's a slate that is dominated by men. And as a father to 3 daughters, it's really important to me that Representative Bellotti be given the opportunity to showcase her aperture, her depth of knowledge of Native Hawaiian issues, and the reason why she would like to serve as Hawaii's next lieutenant governor. That's important to me for that. Vice Chair Souza?
It's important to support civic engagement as fully as possible, to the extent possible, right? And so my question would be, would this be a potential bifurcation or amendment? Because I for one, would like to allow the non-OHA debate to proceed, right? And until there's ethics clarity on the OHA debates. I think we kind of can all agree on that when we get the support for that. So how would that work? Would it need to be a bifurcation or amendment?
I like what's up on the board now. I'm open for suggestions, but the motion would amend. I would retract the previous motion. I would read into the record a new motion, and that motion would be what is in front of us now, which would basically authorize these civic engagement opportunities, but as it relates to the OHA forums, that would be pending guidance and approval from the Hawaii Ethics Commission. And we would just take out up to 6 live and just say the amendment would also authorize pending guidance and approval from the Hawaii Ethics Commission broadcasts of OHA Board of Trustee candidate forums for the Oahu, Maui, and at-large races. And the reason I think, and I support this, is because if we do get a timely response from the Ethics Commission, and maybe Everett can speak to how long he thinks that may or may not take. I mean, as soon as we adjourn, he can go out and call the attorney of the day and start the conversation and potentially get a response pretty quickly and get something in writing, maybe by the end of the week. If it is in favor of and in support of what this action item requests, then I think we can put the 3 at-large forum races together in July and make that happen. Everett, any mana'o on how long you think it'll take to get the Ethics Commission to weigh in on this?
The timeline you suggested, I think, is doable based on my past experiences with the Ethics Commission and seeking an attorney of the day opinion. But, you know, it's subject to the determination by them. Yeah, I don't know anything further than that.
Yeah, and I'm all for that. It's just agendizing another board meeting, 6 days, like that all takes time. As you know, I'm tremendously appreciative that in a short notice, we have the full board here, you know, wherever we are. You know, you got Trustee Akaka representing all of us in Washington, D.C. at Hawaii on the Hill. And, you know, all of us are in the spaces we're in. And so having another board meeting, having this come back just creates more time. And since the funding of this has already been approved and has already been programmed into the accounts it needs to be programmed into, contracts are ready to be signed for the LG's race. There has been tempered discussion, high-level discussion about the OHA forums. At least that has begun. And I think that could get pulled off in the timeline that I've described in the week or the week leading up to the OHA LG's race debate, which, to Trustee Galaterra's point, allows us to amplify that event the following week. I still think we can pull it off if we move forward with the amendment as it's proposed, or unless another trustee, you know, wants to tweak it. I still think we can make it happen. If it comes back and it's a no-go, And Trustee Lindsay is accurate in the gut instinct she feels as it relates to this, then it's off, and no problem. And then Trustee Wahe, you're happy because we can bring money back to the budget for you.
Mr. Chair.
Hi, Trustee Lindsay, go ahead.
Hi. One other concern I had was that some people will be doing the questions. I'd like to make a proposal that the same questions be asked to all the candidates so that it's fair. And that, not one a cultural and one a land use, that
Yeah.
all the candidates be treated fairly.
100%, just like we would do interviews for people that want to work at OHA. Everyone gets asked the same question in the same format. No one is treated differently. Absolutely agree. That was the intent.
I have
Okay.
something to share.
Hey, go ahead, Trustee Akaka.
I've been receiving various feedback from beneficiaries in terms of some of the proposals from the previous meeting with the congressional race recommendation, as well as with the lieutenant governor race in this current agenda. And some of the feedback that I've received is there's been some concerns in terms of how these races were selected, and it opening up into how come this race versus that race, or this one congressional versus the other. And I had kind of mentioned that in the previous meeting. And then now with the lieutenant governor race, asking how it makes sense where it's just that race versus looking at what I had mentioned earlier with whether it's a county or state or federal race. And on the other hand, some of the feedback that I've received from beneficiaries is the appreciation of having information and learning about candidates and what their mana'o is, and how they what they would like to see being done in terms of meeting the mission, and how they would do things similarly or differently at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So that's just some of the mana'o I've received that I'm recalling at the moment. And while I can appreciate the change that has happened regarding the lieutenant governor's race, and that would be really interesting to hear the mana'o of those candidates. At the same time, I am in agreement with some of the mana'o that Trustee Whitehead had shared in terms of the role of the lieutenant governor, and how their role works in terms of what our mission is, and some of how that affects with legislation and so forth. And I'm not saying it doesn't, because there's definitely a role that the lieutenant governor plays. However, I always ask myself, how would we answer to our beneficiaries, our constituents, when it comes to their question as to how certain races were decided upon, recommended, or thought of, and how we would like to best answer.
Sure. And my only thought to that would be, I would love to have a congressional forum. Having it before absentee mail ballots drop is likely to be impossible for the two incumbents that are serving in Congress and are working their colas off for Hawaii leading up to the Friday, July 31st recess date. Having a forum after that date likely doesn't have the return on investment for OHA, because Hawaii and those that do decide to vote are already voting. So at the state level, beyond our OHA races, which to me should be high profile and very important, I actually take offense to some commentators that don't include the OHA races in the broader conversation about the 2026 election. The next most highest profile race is the second person in command of this state, sitting next to the governor. but thank you for your feedback. And being that you are in Washington, D.C. right now, I'm sure,
Yes,
you got your pulse on that right now.
there's manao from our beneficiaries here that are talking to me about it. So it's interesting to hear their manao on it and their different takes on it.
And you know, for the LG's race, I will at least what I can share is when I realized that Congressman Case does not want to participate, but cannot commit because of that time frame, and other things in play require commitments. When I called the other two candidates, at least those numbers I had, they were very excited about participating in the debate and accepting OHA's invitation and the framing of Native Hawaiian issues and priorities that they all know are very important to Native Hawaiians and Hawaii. And so, you know, having this potentially the second in command of our state and these candidates that want to be lieutenant governors and inviting them in to have this discussion around Native Hawaiian framing of issues is important. And it is why we are the primary host sponsor for this debate. Because if we were just throwing in with a few other organizations, we might get one question. This is an opportunity for us to frame this opportunity with really meaningful questions for these candidates, and that's why I think it's important.
And we're looking at the same amount, more or less.
Yeah. Basically, it's the same debate. Everything's locked, loaded, ready to go. Hawaii News Now is ready. They're ready to move. There's been actually conversations already happening because of this 1 week delay. Because I said, hey, stop. Like we can't proceed forward. I have to go back to the board. Trustee Galutera reaffirmed that. And this is the right thing to do and the right conversation to have. And so, yes, it would be the same amount. And I mean, you know, the delta, what we don't know is how much can be raised through advertising dollars, which we control because we control the entire debate. That brings down the budget, which ultimately either saves us money or allows us to pivot money back to the Budget and Finance Committee and the FY26 budget if, in fact, the OHA candidate forums cannot proceed forward. So I think it's a win-win all the way around, and I think it's further elevates OHA, you know, as this independent, you know, branch of government here in Hawaii and taking a proactive role in that. Trustee Aquino?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, can you tell me how we will select the candidates for the Lieutenant Governor debate?
We'd have to look at all the candidates that have filed for the race. I mean, I would lean on Hawaii News Now in terms of how many candidates should be invited. You know, so that in the hour block time that we have, you can have meaningful discussions and conversations with the candidates that are have been invited to participate. I think in the past, when looking at like, and I can only speak to like presidential races or whatnot, and in these cases, they would be bipartisan debates. Is there some sort of threshold, right? Whether you are at a threshold in polling or you're at a threshold in dollars raised that qualify you for a debate, rather than everybody gets lumped into one debate, and then there's not much in value in that. So I can't answer that question right now, but maybe Bill could. I mean, Bill could comment as a comms director on typically the polling thresholds that would apply if a candidate is a viable candidate or not. I gotta go look at the filing. I know Pikachu has filed for many races across the state. I'm not sure if he's also filed for lieutenant governor. So.
Yes, Chair, you're right. Usually when a news organization sponsors a debate, not every candidate needs to be included. And yes, it may be like if you're polling at 10% or higher, or if you're in single digits, then you don't qualify for the debate. Excuse me. I think also it can be divided between parties. So if you want to, you can have a Democratic Party primary, a Republican Party primary debate, a Green Party primary debate, and do it that way if there are, enough candidates to stage a debate. But yes, I think some of those things you mentioned, polling, dollars raised, are all things that organizations usually look at so as to draw the line somewhere as to who's included and who is not in certain debates. Yes, I'll leave it right there.
I think too, Bill, I mean, you've been in the industry for a while. I mean, there is an industry standard that the media station would also be, supportive of and subject to. As long as that threshold is an objective one, it's a fair one, it's applied equitably, then that's important.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Bill, for that response. And yes, a news station would use a certain polling threshold to determine which candidates are in the lead. And that's appropriate, I think, to a news station because it has its industry standard criteria and it plays a neutral role. But it would be problematic if the leaders were all of one party. Problematic for OHA. We could end up basically doing a Democrat primary debate. And I think that would very clearly contradict our nonpartisanship, giving an advantage to a single party. It might also raise some conflict of interest questions for any of us on the board who are of that party, or if a majority were of that party. So I think that while the news media may have certain standards for being able to conduct a fair event by polling who is in the lead, it creates a problem for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, a state government agency that needs to be nonpartisan.
I do think, though, Trustee, that some of the concerns you have can be addressed with debates that are held related to the general election as opposed to the primary election, so that when you have finally a Republican candidate for lieutenant governor and a Democratic Party candidate for lieutenant governor and a Democratic Party candidate for governor and a Republican Party candidate for governor, you can stage debates that feature equally and fairly candidates of each party or more parties. But those are more and better addressed ahead of the general election as opposed to the primary election.
That's correct, Bill. In a general election, we could ensure that we remain nonpartisan. But we're dealing here with trying to hit a deadline for the primaries. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Trustee Kino. Okay, let me do this. Let me, Kapono, is the guidance for me to withdraw the previous motion and read into the record the new motion?
Yes, just withdraw the last motion.
Okay, then the chair withdraws the previous motion, the last motion, and could you put it back up there? I was going to read it. Okay, the chair would like to make a motion to approve to amend prior action item BOT 2606, specifically as it relates to the sponsorship of a statewide primetime broadcast primary debate on or about July 20, 2026. Due to scheduling conflicts among the candidates and changes in the dynamics of the race since the Board of Trustees took action, The proposed debate would shift from Hawaii's 1st Congressional District race to the statewide Hawaii Lieutenant Governor's race. The amendment would also authorize, pending guidance and approval from the Hawaii Ethics Commission, broadcasts of OHA Board of Trustee candidate forums for the Oahu, Maui, and at-large trustee races. So trustees, that is the motion on the table. Is there any discussion or any further discussion on this motion? Seeing and hearing none, Board Secretary, please call the roll.
Trustee Ahuna,
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. I can come back to you. Trustee Akina,
Ole.
Trustee Alapa.
No.
Trustee Galuteria,
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay,
No.
Trustee Souza,
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e,
No.
Chair Kahele,
Aye.
and Trustee Akaka. I see her. Has to unmute.
I don't know if she can unmute herself.
Are you able to hear me?
Oh, now I can.
No, I'm sorry, Trustee Kaku, we didn't record your vote.
Trustee
Well-
Akaka. Oh, sorry. What did she say? One more time. Oh, she said Aole. Okay. We have 5 no and 4 yes.
Okay, thank you, trustees. The approval to amend prior action on BOT 2606 is not adopted. So the prior board action currently stands, and the chair will do everything I can to get the 1st Congressional District debate as published, as well as the OHA candidate forums. Do we have anyone signed up to speak under community concerns?
No one has signed up to speak under community concerns.
Okay, great. All right, trustees, the announcements that I have, well, first of all, does any trustees have any announcements?
Chair?
Hi, Trustee Lindsay.
Thank you. I just want to announce that I attended the Keiki Oka'aina graduation day down in Kaneohe last week, Thursday. And it was represented by all the preschool students in Honolulu, on Oahu. And there were at least 300 to 400 people there, and was so well received. I just want to say that I represented OHA after receiving an invitation.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Trustee Lindsay. Trustee Akaka, anything to share with us with Hawaii on the Hill and representing us yesterday at the lei draping ceremony?
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
We can hear you.
For my connection. Yes, it's been a myriad of wonderful conversations and sessions regarding federal policy here, and recommendations in terms of requests from businesses, Native Hawaiian, discussions regarding Native Hawaiian language, Native Hawaiian businesses, funding to Native Hawaiian programs, discussion regarding the lawsuit regarding DHHL, and it's reaffirming to hear from members of our federal delegation in terms of their commitment when it comes to Native Hawaiian rights and duty and care to what we know to be our crown and government lands. So I'm interested in hearing more in terms of how the discussion continues, and it's very interesting to hear the mana'o of the beneficiaries. The lei draping ceremonies went beautifully when it came to Saint Father Damien, as well as for King Kamehameha Ekahi. And it's quite a full schedule here, today being one of the busiest days from early in the morning till into the evening in terms of coming together and networking, and from county, there's attendees from county, state, and federal here, as well as their staff, and the staff have been excellent in terms of sharing what some of their roles are when it comes to federal funding and how different entities can apply. And talking about the realities of what's happening currently with the federal climate from Congress to the executive leadership.
Right on. Thank you so much, Trustee Akaka. Trustee Ahuna.
Yes, I wanted to thank the entire OHA for the Aina Day that we had. That was the most magnificent thing that I've ever encountered. I want to thank Keishan Kikina. It was the most amazing day working with our own people and just turning our hands in that soil. So I just want to thank the entire OHA for being there and all the trustees who showed up. Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Ahuna. Trustees, any other announcements? Okay, then the chair has announcement. Next board meeting is on Thursday, June 25th. That is following the June 24th standing committee meeting. On Sunday, June 21st through Friday, June 26th, SNI's Anu, Avochan, and Wakile from the SNI team are gearing up for the kickoff of the relaunch AHA Opio OHA. We have an incredible competitive pool of candidates, and the programming for that week is going to be educational, practical, and full of opportunities of civic engagement and to learn and build Pilina and equip our Opio, the next generation of Native Hawaiian leaders, with the skills to continue making an impact for our Native Hawaiian community through civic engagement. On Saturday, June 27th, the Military Lease Lands Technical Advisory Group will reconvene for its 5th meeting. And those are the announcements from the chair. Anyone else? Hearing none and seeing none. Chair would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Sounds good.
Any discussion on that motion? I want to thank all the trustees for their participation and today and for convening. I really, really appreciate your time and your manao. Let's get a roll call vote so we can adjourn.
Trustee Ahuna.
Aye.
Trustee Akaka. Trustee Akina.
Aye.
Trustee Alapa. Yes. Trustee Galuteria.
Aye.
Trustee Lindsay.
Aye.
Trustee Souza.
Aye.
Trustee Waihe'e.
Yes.
Chair Kahele.
Aye.
We have 8 yes votes. We are adjourned.